Welcome to Voice of San Diego, Friday 5, live at 5. I'm Scott Lewis, the CEO and editor-in-chief at Voice of San Diego. What a week. What a week. Got a lot to go through. It is, the garage is getting a little cold these days. It's getting a little cold, but I got a space heater. I just use these pliers to get the space heater to work. Space heaters are hard to find. It's fine. No problem. Friday 5, live at 5. We got a big development in the Friday 5, live at 5. Number one. Look at that. Thanks, Adriana Heldes. Give us a little animation here. The number one story of the week is the COVID. I don't know if you've heard. We're going backwards. Things are not good. The county last week, of course, put us in the purple tier, or the state did. Our county, we got above 7 cases per 100,000 people, and that's bad. We've crossed the line. Now we're in purple, and now all the gyms that were open, indoor activity, all the restaurants that were open, indoor activity, all of them closed down. The indoor activity. Outdoor, you can still go out. You can still work out outside. Gets a little cold in the mornings these days. I surfed early this morning. It was not warm. It was not warm. Shout out to Michael Smollins, columnist at the UT. Saw him out there earlier. Not afraid of the chill. All right, but our number one story, yes. So the county this week. So we're trying to figure out what's going on. The county this week put up a new map. I don't know if you've seen this. A new map. We'll post the link for it. It's a new map of where cases are spreading the fastest. So they use that per 100,000 measurement, and then they see which places in San Diego are having the worst spread. So if it's 7 for the whole county, where is it higher than 7? Where is it lower? One of them is El Cajon, this zip code 92020. Check this out. A reader pointed this out last night on Twitter after I posted the map, said, tell me what you see. This guy saw this. 92020, 26 cases per 100,000 people. Again, 7 is what we're aiming for. 26 cases per 100,000 people in El Cajon. 7, that's a little more than 7. 3 times 7, 4 times what we were. Come on. That's El Cajon. That's not a good number. I got a friend in El Cajon. I need to call him and ask him what's going on over there. Was it the casinos? Was it churches? Was everybody just hanging out inside? Come on. God, this sucks. We need to get out of this. A couple of things really got me today. I don't know if you saw this. The Governor Gavin Newsom, went to dinner with some friends at the French Laundry, that fancy place. He ate outside. I don't think it was probably that dangerous, but you're not supposed to be going out with other people. He just this week told everybody you don't get together with a lot of other people, and he's like going out with all his friends. It's like, it's that was a couple of weeks ago. There was the news that he was sending his kids to private school, in person. It just doesn't feel good, man, for you to not be doing the things we need to be doing. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right. Just don't go out to eat with friends. None of us have. It's horrible. I want this over. And then the other thing that came up, I don't know if you saw this. This was dispatched. The Senate, or the Congress, new Congress-elect, new members of Congress, they were planning on having a dinner with all the members-elect, and they were all, and Pelosi was like, Nancy Pelosi, the speaker, was like, no, don't worry, it's well ventilated. We're following all the rules. So there's like dozens of people indoor at this indoor party for new Congress members elect, and and we can't go out with our friend. We can't have school. Yeah, they posted this thing. This is the picture of the place that they were going to have this dinner. It looks like a wedding. Don't do that. So apparently they canceled it. But this is the second time Nancy Pelosi's been really obtuse about this situation. Don't have a big dinner indoors. The whole place, this virus is going crazy. So I follow the Utah numbers. We're from, that's where I'm from originally. Well, I grew up partly there. And I follow the newspapers there and the news there. They're freaking out. They have about the same number of people as we do in San Diego, in Utah, obviously spread out a little bit more, but not really. There's a concentration there on the Wasatch Front. And they have like 460, almost 500 people in the hospitals. There are far more people in the hospitals compared to us. Check us out. This is hospitalizations. As of this week, we got up to 337 hospitalizations. That's bad. That's more than they were. We were hovering. Remember, we were hovering down at 225, 236 for, a long time since that spike in July. So yeah, it got a little higher. They actually redefined how they count the numbers. I don't know if you knew this. So they switched it. You can see on this thing, you can see the asterisks. Well, there was an asterisk at 1031 on the other map. But, oh yeah, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, see that asterisk right there? 262 on 1031. So what they did is they switched it. So hospitalizations now count for, they weren't counting people after they'd been in the hospital for a long time. Like at some point they weren't COVID patients. I don't know, something like that. So now they add those in too. So hospitalizations went up, but not like as much as even the numbers show here. So we've been keeping it pretty real here, pretty steady. But Utah is just soaring. They're getting record cases, like 25% positive rate. And it's freaking the governor out. The governor, very conservative Republican, and he's really worried about it. They're passing a big mask mandate, trying to contain it. Today, a group of conspiracy theorists tried to break into an ICU because they didn't believe the numbers of the ICU. Get it together, people. God, this is so stupid. Stuff like that is so stupid. Don't have dinners inside. Don't break into an ICU because you don't believe the numbers. Wear a mask. This disease hit this country right in the gut. This was like the worst disease to get. It's confused everybody. It's just messed with their head. Yeah, same with South Dakota. Come on, El Cajon. That's right. All right, so that was number one, the virus. It's going crazy in a lot of parts of this country. Not so much here, but bad enough that they're going to close the indoor operation. We got a lot of people saying they shouldn't close those indoor operations. They need definitive clarity about what's going to happen with all these restrictions. It's our first pandemic, man. I want some clarity too. I don't know when this is going to end, but they do know that it spreads indoors. So let's go over the basics again. Stay outdoors. If you're indoors, make sure the place you're in is well ventilated. If you're indoors, make sure you've done as much to filter the air as possible when you're around other people. And if you're around other people, wear a mask. That's it. Those are the four basics about the COVID. I have a theory that all these places, South Dakota, Utah, all these places that are getting cold, people are packing indoors, and all the bars are still open, all the restaurants are still open, all the churches and stuff, and they don't want to go outside. Here, luckily, we've been outside. It's going a little better. All right, should we go on number 2? That's great. We are growing up. We are growing up. Number 2 this week is this. So we have a new MayorElect Todd Gloria, and it was made official more or less this week by Barbara Bree, his rival for the mayor's race, conceding the race to him. She did a little like Zoom press conference that I watched later, And one part really struck me. So most of these like concession speeches are really like gracious and like, gosh, I've learned a lot about the city. I don't know if you saw today, Joe Leventhal wrote a piece about republicanism. He ran for city council, and he said he had a really interesting line in there where he said, basically, let's see if I can find it real quick. It was really good. Um, he said, "We pride ourselves on our allegiance to the Constitution. So Republicans should be the first to seek transparency and ask questions when a black or brown person is killed at the hands of government without due process." So it's like a reflective piece. These guys, they lose and then they go through a period of like, wow, maybe I should spend some time. Carl DeMaio was all like, maybe we shouldn't call each other names. So that didn't really last very long. But here's Barbara Bree talking about what she learned during the campaign for mayor.
And I will say, quite frankly, that when I started to run for mayor, I believed there was incompetence at City Hall. As the campaign progressed, I became more aware of what I will, quite frankly, call a culture of corruption. And it was the special interests in this town who have benefited from this over the years, who spent a lot of money beating me.
Woo! Coming in hot. The culture of corruption, special interests, like these corrupt special interests spent money. So she just called the Chamber of Commerce corrupt, the Municipal Employees Association corrupt, these groups that spend against. Now, look, there is always corruption is one of those words that like people use, I think, recklessly a lot. Like corruption, I would define it as it gets where you do something dishonest. You offer honest. I haven't thought about this enough. Probably you offer a transactional environment, right? You offer something in exchange for something else when it's not in the best interest of the public. That is like probably the bare bar, and then the worst versions of it is you take bribes or uh, deliberately hold somebody, you give them ultimatums or you otherwise manipulate the situation with money or power or pain or violence, right? That's like corruption. And so like, I don't, obviously the Chamber of Commerce and the employees union have a stake in who's mayor. That's literally like they have a lot of things going. But does it mean that just because they support somebody that they're corrupt, like that's a good, I just am interested in your thoughts. I don't know. But she wasn't in the conciliatory mood. Barbara Bree on her way out, dropping a bomb. All right, number 3 this week, we are going to do big news. So San Diego, for 50 years, has given the exclusive right to dig up the streets and to put up electrical power lines and gas lines to San Diego Gas and Electric. 50 years, San Diego Gas and Electric has had that contract. So now this year it's running out, it's expiring. And so they're trying to put up, they want to do a bid. Now this bid is really interesting. I don't know if you followed this, but what happens is, I don't know if I have the exact thing right, but they have a box with the bids. Nobody knows if other companies have bid for this, by the way. SD Genie has confirmed it did and wants to keep doing this for 20 years. But they bring out the box and then they open the bids for the first time in front of the council. And then there's like an auction that plays out in front of everybody of who actually gets the final bid or who gets the contract for the next 20 years. So that was sort of moving along, and the mayor wants that done before he leaves. Wants to get that going. Well, today or this week, Georgette Gomez put out a thing that said that she would like to delay it for a year and have the city come back to her and get approval instead for just a year for SDG&E to keep doing it for a year, and then in a year they can do other things. Now there's groups that were stoked about this because they want to see the city take over all of that responsibility, municipalize I'm trying to make sure I get it right. I wasn't rolling my eyes, just trying to municipalize. It's been hard for me to say all week. So they want to do that too. They want to take over or have the city take over the delivery of electricity. And there's other ideas about what to maybe force the bidders to agree to, other things like that. So Georgette Gomez, on her way out, basically said, "Hey, I would like to delay this." Our Mackenzie Elmer did a story about what the delay means, what's going on with that. Huge news in the city of San Diego, who does what they have to agree to, how much they pay for that right or, privilege to deliver the power, how long the term is or what else they agree to is all baked into that. And so, big moment of truth for local power. And that's going to be delayed, or I don't know if they can somehow get it on the docket without it. We will see. All right. Number 4. All right, so today, Friday, just in time for the Friday 5 Live at 5, Mayor-elect Todd Gloria announced his first 3 appointments. Paula Avila, she is a vice president at the Chamber of Commerce. Nick Serrano, been a longtime aide for Todd Gloria, managed his campaign for mayor. And then Jay Goldstone, blast from the past, Jay Goldstone is the interim chief operating officer. So I don't know if you all know, if you know me, if you followed me for years, you know that I know Jay Goldstone. Jay Goldstone knows me. I think we've probably written as much about Jay Goldstone as any other person in the city. He used to be the chief operating officer of the city. I don't mean like about him, but he was always quoted in our stories. He's the former chief operating officer of the city. So just some background. When the city used to run with a city manager form of government, right? There was all these city council members, and they would hire a city manager, and that manager would oversee the entire staff of the city. But in 2004, and there was a vote, and then in 2006, they implemented it called the strong mayor form of government, where the mayor became an elected leader of the government, the CEO. He left the city council, no longer had a vote on the city council, and therefore was the CEO of the city. And they added another city council member so there's 9 city council members. They hire a council president who, acts in the same way that the mayor used to, but now the mayor is the CEO. So since that happened, they stopped having like these professional managers and instead hired these COOs, chief operating officers. The first one, rather famously, was Ronnie Froman. She had run the Navy operations in San Diego for a while, and then and then they handed it off to other folks. Well, one of those people was the former CFO in charge of finances, Jay Goldstone. That's Jay there. So Jay's back. Jay Goldstone is back. Now, when he was in there was a big financial crisis at the city of San Diego. And for a while, there was, they fundamentally not brought in, they were not bringing in as much money as they were set up to spend. They were not set up to bring in as much money as they were set up to spend. A huge structural deficit, it's called. And when, and they battled that for like 2005, 2006, and it was really a pain. Every year was like, they're cutting, they're laying off. Did they really lay off? Did they cut this? It was just constant discussion about everything they were cutting. And then the financial crisis hit 2008, 2009, 2010, and it was a dark financial time for the city. Well, Jay Goldstone was the CFO and the COO of the city throughout that whole period. So he knows what it's like to not have money and to have a lot of people wanting money. And that's his whole role. Basically, he's really good at telling people they're not getting money. That's his entire expertise, is in very well communicating all the challenges that go on with that. So He's back. Fascinating. Paula Avila, a great, really interesting choice. Great choice for chief of staff. She's been the vice president at the Chamber of Commerce for binational affairs. I remember she told me a story one time about how she was meeting with John Cornyn, the senator in Texas, about the North American Free Trade Agreement, the new one, USMCA, 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 and how she was trying to really persuade him to pass this this updated NAFTA, at least keep NAFTA going at that point. And so that's the kind of stuff she's been thinking about for a while. I met her back in 2003 when she was a top leader for Mayor Dick Murphy. She was like deputy chief for Mayor Dick Murphy. Dick Murphy was the mayor, the Republican mayor. So deep cut there. Deep cut, Mayor Dick Murphy. How many of you remember Dick Murphy? Judge Mayor. He wrote a book after that it was Judge Mayor Vision 2020 or something like that. Paula Avila was big into binational. She's also served on WASO staff. I like Paula a lot, and I look forward to talking with her. So the chief of staff, unlike the COO, runs like the political staff for the top staff of the mayor's office, so that she has to work really closely with the COO because she wants to make sure that his political priorities are carried out. But his job is just to make sure like the boring stuff works, like the fleet maintenance, all the trash trucks, all the fire trucks, all that stuff is like, that's got to like work. All that stuff has to work. And that's his job. Her job is to be like, well, what if we solve homelessness too? And he's like, well, I'm in, but that might be costly and I don't have any money. So that's how that will work. We'll have hopefully a little bit about that in the politics report tomorrow. All right, let's get to number 5. Now the mayor's doing all that hiring, but we have a whole new city council on board. Democratic wave, just a Democratic wave. I want to just talk about something. So 2004, I was here covering things. I remember the night George W. Bush won against John Kerry, and George W. Bush won San Diego County, the county of San Diego, not just the city, the county, with 52% of the vote. He won, and then Barack Obama won with 54% of the vote, and then 53% of the vote in 2012. And then Hillary Clinton won San Diego County with 56% of the vote in 2016. Guess what it was for Biden? 60% of the vote. He got 60% of the vote in San Diego County. So this place that went for George W. Bush in 2004 has gradually switched over to now 60% went with the Democrat for president. But all of that surged for the president. The country might be divided about Donald Trump, but San Diego is not, especially the city of San Diego. And that meant that we have 5 new city council members, including 2 from previously Republican represented districts. So huge, different council, and they do have a big decision to make, and that is between Monica Montgomery here on the right and Dr. Jen Campbell on the left, who she is the representative for the coastal areas, OB, PB, Mission Beach, Claremont, that sort of area. And Monica Montgomery represents southeastern San Diego, Encanto, Skyline, a lot of those neighborhoods. And so there's a standoff kind of. They both want to be the council president. Remember, I described the role of the mayor before. So the new version of that is the council president, and that's a really powerful role. Monica Montgomery, has a lot of vision for reform of law enforcement, for this kind of grassroots vision for the future of San Diego City Hall, and its representation of underserved neighborhoods, that kind of thing. Jen Campbell, just fresh off the success of Measure E, she's got the support of the labor unions pretty clearly. Big, interesting public discussion about what should happen with that seat. And they're setting it up for a real interesting political moment. They'll decide that December 10th. That's the first decision the San Diego City Council will have to make. So really interesting one going forward. These are two. They both got elected in. They're both. They were proud to get in together, and now there's a little bit of a stand-up. I don't know if it causes raw feelings, but I've never seen a campaign that didn't cause raw feelings between the two candidates. Even like super professional, courteous ones always cause some angst, but it's tough. So I hope this one doesn't get too gnarly between them as they figure out what's going to happen. So big first decision for the new city council members to make. Who do you think should represent the city? I'd be interested in your thoughts. All right. Let's see. Let's get some of your comments. What's the best thing to say when you run into an anti-masker? An anti-masker, like to argue with them? Okay, first of all, don't argue with them. That's just that's pain. That's nothing. Don't argue with somebody who doesn't want to talk about or doesn't want to wear a mask. Just be like, no, I don't. Let's just mask. Like obviously they wear them during surgery for a reason. Like they don't, there's things that come out. Now somebody will say, well, what if the air, you can smell farts through it, or it's warm and you can feel a breeze come through. Well, yeah, it's not, you can breathe through it too. Like that's the point, is to limit and to control some of the things coming into your mouth, not to like eliminate it. You die. That's not how it works. And so people are like, well, what if, if I breathe, sometimes I can feel air come out. Well, yeah, but you wear a coat, right? Like your coat doesn't like seal you off to the world. It seals a lot of you off to the world, enough to protect the heat, like enough to keep things a little bit contained. That's the same point. Like the mask doesn't like, it doesn't seal off everything. You die. You have to breathe. So that's what I say. I just I'm not a huge thing about like if you're outdoors, like I'm not the guy who's like, wow, everybody should be wearing a mask outdoors. I'm not. Outdoors is mostly okay. You shouldn't be like crammed together. If you're with somebody else outdoors, you should wear a mask. But like, indoors, if you're indoor and somebody walks in without a mask, I was in an elevator and a guy walked into the elevator without a mask. He's like, hey, and I'm like, I don't want to, I don't, I'm not proud of what I did then, but I walked out of the elevator and said something. But like, that's just dumb. I don't like that. Don't do that. We're all playing this game. Play the game. Just play the game. It's not a big deal. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? Our group met with Jason, Stadium Coalition. I know you guys. Well, while I don't agree with Bree's comments, the better, the more visionary candidate won, in my opinion. Yes. All right. Thank you, sir. Kim Prather, yeah, wear a mask. Just wear a mask, Kim. That's UC, the Scripps Institution of Oceanography professor of atmospheric chemistry and renowned expert on that. Kim Prather, thank you for joining. Big fan of the Friday 5 live at 5. Let's see, 20 years is what the San Diego Gas and Electric wants. Yes, I don't mean to, if I misstated that, I'm sorry. All right. I think that's all. I've gone through all of your questions. Yes, if you have any thoughts on who should be council president, if you have any ideas of things we need to be covering, let me know. Scott at voiceofsandiego.org. Scott at voiceofsandiego.org. I don't have anything really to promote. We'll be asking for money, but that's later, few weeks. For now, just enjoy voiceofsandiego.org. We'll bother you with more promotional stuff soon. Thank you all for your support. Have a good weekend, and don't go indoors with other people. Just stay outdoors. It's nice. It'll be a great weekend. All right. Cheers.